One thing that you do not want to do is you don't want to have indicators which are, in quotes, redundant. And trading, it's all about predicting the future to some degree. Will the market go up or down if you really want to boil it down to the basics? However, what may seem like a coin toss, like a 50-50 decision, if you use the right indicators, if you use technical analysis, then you actually can get the odds more in your favor. So the 50-50 coin toss all of a sudden perhaps will be a 75-25 decision. And this is where you gain your edge in the market. But you need to use the right indicators for that.
You've developed thousands of indicators and have guided people through their story. What would be the number one advice you would give to people out there? So this is for you, the Trading Pit community. We are working together with a lot of successful coaches out there who are in the partnership with our community, who want to share a lot of knowledge and make you to become better traders. So today we have a very special guest, a long partner of ours, Daniel Sinnig. Welcome here in the office in Cyprus. It's nice to have you.
Yes, thank you. And it's great to be here. First time in Cyprus, and what a nice place it is.
Yeah, awesome. We've just met at the convention. For the people who might not know, there is the IFX going on right now. It's probably the biggest convention here on the island. Daniel made all the way from Canada, right?
That's right. And it's always fun to get out a little bit from our home base in Montreal, which is our headquarters. Right now, we've been there for more than 10 years in the trading industry and steadily growing and specializing on trading indicators and how these indicators can help you and any prop trader to, at the minimum, make better trading decisions.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, we have the integration now with NinjaTrader TradingView, which fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Is that something you started with? Is this how you started your trading journey?
Actually, in the very beginning, when I started my trading journey, actually my career goes further back than this, is we started off with MetaTrader.
Oh, yeah.
So our bread and butter was all about automation and writing EAs. These are called expert advisors, basically bots which trade fully automatically for you. And why did we do it? Because it fit back in the day my trading style. I was way too nervous to trade anything live and manually. I did all the bad decisions. I overtraded. I took too much risk because I was greedy. I got nervous and closed up positions too early, or I stayed in positions too long because I didn't want to have a loser on my account. And all these bad habits, which are kind of based on my trading personality back then, and all these emotional aspects of it, they were in my way. And I thought, hey, this is not working for me. And back then, I thought automation was the only way to go. And so we started writing expert advisors for MetaTrader 4 and later on also for MetaTrader 5.
Oh, that is awesome. That's how it all started with the good old MetaTrader. Now you are, I would say, a step ahead, right? You made it more public. You scripted it for TradingView. That's right.
That's right. So now over the years, of course, it's a learning process, just like anything else in life. You will get better over time with repetition. When you get used to certain behaviors of the market, you get used to perhaps having a position which is currently in drawdown. And, you also form an expectation of what a trade looks like. And this comes with experience, but also with a lot of very rigorous steps to be taken. Because once you understand what the market levels are, for example, you can then estimate, hey, okay, I'm in this long position, but before I see any profit, this position may go all the way down to where support is, because this is another key level. Mm-hmm. And just by knowing where these key levels are on the chart, there's ways to find them if you have the right indicators, for example, this made a huge difference, because all of a sudden, I kind of expected perhaps to be first in a bit of a drawdown. That was completely normal because it was within my parameters. But this was not possible when I first started off because I didn't have this knowledge about the charts, about the market, and these hidden zones on the chart.
Absolutely. When it comes to indicators, there is this industry saying of like, you don't need to overload your charts with indicators, basic price action. We all know these sayings from a lot of coaches out there. How do you make sure to not overload your charts? What is it really that you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question, because one thing that you do not want to do is you don't want to have indicators which are, in quotes, redundant. Basically, they show you the exact same information, perhaps in different colors or with different lines or different ways, but essentially it's drawn from the same data. You don't want this because there's no added value of having two different indicators on the chart. But if you carefully select your indicators, you can select them in a way so that each indicator tells a different story, a different aspect about the market. Example, you may have an indicator which shows you the current trend. Is it currently bullish, bearish, or perhaps sideways? Okay, that's one aspect. A second indicator perhaps shows you where are key support and resistance levels on your chart. A completely different thing, but which is also very important. And then perhaps another indicator which looks at volume. And now you have three indicators on your chart. Each of them is telling you a very different, or is about a very different aspect of the chart of the market. And then you can use all this information to form, your understanding of what the market story is all about. Trading, and let's face the truth, it's all about predicting the future to some degree. Will the market go up or down if you really want to boil it down to the basics? And however, what may seem like a coin toss, like a 50-50 decision, if you use the right indicators, if you use technical analysis, we're going to talk about this perhaps a bit later, then you actually can get the odds more in your favor. So the 50-50 coin toss, all of a sudden, perhaps will be a 75-25 decision. And this is where you gain your edge in the market. But you need to use the right indicators for that.
Okay, that is awesome. I mean, later down the line, we will have the possibility to look on the charts of Daniel and really understand better what this indicators and the strategy is all about. But let's go back a step. So when you started trading, you faced some challenges, obviously. You learned from these challenges, and now you are really focused on what? Are you a futures trader, a CFD trader? What kind of instruments do you trade? What do you focus on?
That's a great question. And perhaps before I answer this particular aspect, I'm going to get back to it. Let me give you a little bit of background of where I'm coming from.
Please.
Because early in my professional career, for the longest time back then, my career objective was to become a professor in software engineering. So I went through all the levels. I did my master's, my PhD, I did a postdoc. I started teaching at various universities in and around Montreal. But you know what? During all these years, I was also fascinated by the financial markets and that you can actually make money in the market. So I started trading on the side. And as you start out, just like many of us, you tend to make all kinds of mistakes. You take too much risk, your position size is way too big. You trade the market conditions are not right, you revenge trade. And after donating quite a bit of money to the markets, I came to the hard realization, oh boy, trading is not as straightforward as I thought, and I need help. And for me, needing help meant I need better tools, which help me make better trading decisions. And being a software engineer and a programmer, I simply rolled up my sleeves and I started coding. The very first indicators which I've ever written, they were exclusively for my own purpose, for my own trading. But once I realized, oh yeah, these are actually helping me making better trading decisions, I then thought perhaps others could benefit from these indicators as well. And this is really how the story behind Trading Indicators, our company, started about 10 years ago. Writing indicators helping you make better trading decisions.
Great.
Now back to the other. What was the question again?
First of all,
I digress.
Let's then build on this. I believe because you're talking about a complex thing here, building solutions for the public. Are you alone? Do you have a team around you? How is the structure looking like?
At first, I was alone, a one-man show. But over the years, as we became more successful and more known, now we have a fully fledged team. I have a business partner who is mainly responsible for the user's journey of our products, making sure they are properly supported. There's indicators for every trading personality. Finding which indicator fits your trading personality is an important aspect because not every trader is the same. Some traders tend to take more risks. Other traders, they focus perhaps on trend trading, others on counter trend trading. Whatever it may be, it is important to understand what is my trading style. And then once we know this, and we have a little questionnaire for this, once we know this, we can find out, okay, which indicators are actually fitting to your trading style. So we're talking about a custom fitted solution based on your needs. And I believe this is really the right approach because then you're not forced into a trading style which doesn't suit your personality.
Absolutely. Yeah. It also comes like from scalping to day trading, swing trading. The approach is always different, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. So you develop on an individual basis as well for your community.
We used to do it a lot. Back in the day, we perhaps 80% of the stuff we did were what we call custom project,
Okay.
where somebody came to us, say, Daniel, I have an indicator in mind. I'm not a programmer. Can you program this indicator for me based on this logic for this platform? And I listened to the client on his requirements. This is very technical now. And then basically I started coding this indicator for that platform. Then I met with the client again. I showed them what we came up with. There were some refinements to do, and then we delivered the final product. So this is where we gained so much experience developing indicators for all kinds of platforms. We developed for MetaTrader 4 and 5, for TradingView, NinjaTrader, MotiveWave, TradeStation, Thinkorswim, MetaStock, and so forth. So really, we are well versed in all the major platforms. And over the years, and that's really true, we have built more than 1,000 trading indicators for clients all over the world. So we've really seen it all. Well, all different aspects of technical indicators. But then perhaps 5 years in, we then decide, okay, we've seen it all. We've seen what works well, what perhaps does not work so well, because, this can happen. And then we use the good parts to define and create our own suite of indicators. And these are now available at our homepage, tradingindicators.com. And how these indicators look like, at least some of them, we're going to see a bit later.
Absolutely. Cool. So you have been helping a lot of people. My question here is, what kind of infrastructure have you built now? You have a community, you have traders who learn from you. What is the infrastructure looking like? Do you have video courses? Do you give live trading sessions? What can I expect when I join your community?
Yeah. So what we never wanted, and we never did. We didn't want to just sell an indicator and then run away, basically, let you alone with that indicator, because that's typically not how it works. Even the best indicator has a bit of a learning curve. And of course, there are always, tips and tricks you can learn about it. This is why when you come on board and perhaps use one of our indicators, you're also fully supported. We have weekly webinars where we show you tips and tricks. We analyze the markets with our indicators. We answer questions and so forth. We also offer live trading webinars where we put our money where our mouth is, basically trade with our own money account or prop account, the markets. We show you how we are using our own indicators for our own trading. And sometimes that's the best way to learn is, just observe how other traders are doing their work, and you learn from this. You take the bits and pieces that you find interesting and perhaps useful for your approach. And this is how our users typically, they pick bits and pieces here and there. They also learn from other traders in our community, not just us who are giving the webinars, but we also have a Discord forum, for example, where we can exchange ideas. You can learn from each other, and together as a team, us and our users, we're trying to become better traders that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Together you're always stronger. That's for sure. That's for sure. So to come back to the question before, what kind of instruments do you trade? What is your home base? Where do you feel comfortable?
It's not so easy to say, because we really have two angles of trading. We have our futures trading angle, where we focus on day trading. So we typically trade, the index futures, the crude oil futures, the gold futures, and the like. From a day trading point of view, that's part one. Part two is a longer term approach where we focus on swing trading, mostly swing trading with equities, stocks, or ETFs, or potentially also setting up options trades for that. So two different trading styles. One is day trading, a very quick succession of trades. Trades oftentimes are open and closed within the same hour, perhaps the same couple of hours. And then day trading and then swing trading, I should say, when trades can stay open for 2 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks even. That's the longer term trades.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, I don't want to spoil it here, but you've shown me a very, very cool dashboard that you have developed. And I know it myself from the stocks environment, there are thousands of stocks out there, right? It's very hard to keep them all in sight and understand where's the stock currently, at what level, what is the information behind the stock, their earnings, and so on and so forth. Tell us more about this dashboard.
Yeah, so actually for the stock market, we are in a very unique position. Here's why. I'm going to start with the opposite of it. Let's say the futures market. There are, I think, maybe 8, maybe 12, maybe let's say 20, if you want to be generous, futures that you should consider. Or the other ones will not be liquid enough to trade, give or take. So 20. Now compare this to the stock market, where you potentially have thousands, or not potentially, you have thousands of stocks you can pick. So for the stock market, you can really find the ones, you have the luxury of finding the ones with the perfect setup. It might be very rare, but since you're scanning through thousands of stocks, chances are every single trading day, you will have at least 1 or 2 stocks with a perfect setup. What these perfect setups look like, I can show a bit later, but this is a luxury that we have in the stock market because there's so many out there. And, not every stock is always, you should trade all the time. Of course not. You should pick the stocks which are right at this particular moment, which have the perfect setup. And this is something that, the stock market allows us to do. But one precondition for this is that you need to have a tool which can go through these thousands of stocks, because you can't do it manually. That's impossible. You need to have a tool which can do this analysis for you. Or in other words, you need to have a scanner which scans for the perfect setup.
Yeah, and then usually I know it myself. These scanners, they're very basic. You don't even know the parameters that they are taking into consideration. So, what is your scanner looking for? Because you have the beauty of being able to program it yourself, right? You have the knowledge.
That's a great segue, because when it comes to finding the perfect setup, we typically look at 3 things. We look at trend, is the stock bullish or bearish, and for how long has the stock or this instrument, whatever it may be, has been bullish or bearish. That's factor number 1. Factor number 2 is where are key levels, or in other words, where is the nearest support level underneath price, and where is the next resistance level above price. That's factor number 2. Factor number 3 is, relate this to, okay, where's price right now? Are we near a support level? Are we perhaps near a resistance level? Or perhaps are we somewhere in the middle? You can understand how much room perhaps we have in either direction, or perhaps maybe bounce off from a level. If price approaches resistance, of course, that's the reason why this is called resistance. Price may bounce off to the downside. So it can't go any higher. There's resistance there. Or vice versa, if price approaches support, it may bounce off to the upside, towards the middle, in between support and resistance. And if you correlate this, you have trend, and you have a stock near support. In other words, the stock is trending up for a long time. That's a long-term bullish stock, but is it retraced and corrected, I should say, down to the nearest support level? Well, perhaps then you could bet on the fact or anticipate, hey, this stock will now be bouncing off this level to the upside, resuming the long-term uptrend it was in.
Yeah, that's all.
Sounds theoretical. Perhaps it's easier if you show it.
You will definitely show it. Yeah. We all know as a trader, scanning from the monthly to the weekly to the daily time frame, they all show kind of the same, but it is very hard to create a story. So I feel the tool that you've developed is really telling a story from how long are we in a trend, where are we right now, and what can we expect, right?
That's correct, because if you personally don't believe in this trade, if the story doesn't add up to you, it doesn't make sense to you, it's not intuitive for you, then chances are you will make not very good decisions down the road. You will not believe in this trade, you perhaps close it out prematurely, or you panic because you don't really understand the story, you're not comfortable with this trade. So what we focus on is that we create together with you a story which makes sense for you. Once again, I'll go back to the point where you should use the indicators which are right for you. The indicators which help you complete your story of the market, your interpretation of the market. And you will see this is quite straightforward once you get familiar with our indicators. And once you know what the story of the market is, you can predict to some degree, with some degree of confidence, what the next chapter might be all about. Or in other words, where price may go next. And this is, once again, what trading is all about.
Absolutely. A step-by-step procedure. You stick to it because we all know, we're kind of going by emotion sometimes. We're going by heart. We think we know, but actually we don't have a real plan. So that's great that you help with this. When we come back to your whole journey, I mean, you said you were in the industry since 15 years. You've developed thousands of indicators and have guided people through their story. What would be the number one advice you would give to people out there?
Yeah, and actually this advice may be a bit controversial to some, because you may have heard, okay, when you start off trading, start with a demo account. I strongly disagree with that point, and here's why. Trading with a demo account, you may understand how to open a trade and close a trade, but that's about it. What you will not understand and learn through a demo account are the emotional aspects of being in a trade, because emotions like fear, you may lose actual money, or greed, I want to make more money, I'm going to stay in this position. These are the emotions that you need to master as a trader. It is so important. So we believe trading a demo account will not expose you to these emotions. So then people may say, okay, fair enough. Let's start trading a live account, but very small. Okay, this can be a good compromise, but not for all instruments, especially for the futures market. Even on the micro contracts, the smallest contracts that the futures market offers, you still are trading quite a lot of money, which might be already above your risk tolerance. And one more aspect. Let's say you trade one contract only. You have zero chance of further scale into a position or scaling out. These are also important aspects of trading. So what can you do? Okay, I shouldn't trade demo. I can't really trade live in very small position size because I can scale afterwards. So the solution could very well be prop trading. Because with prop trading, you pay a one-time fee, which is basically all the risk you're going to have for a lifetime of this challenge. You pass the challenge and you have the luxury of trading a sizable account with all the benefits. You get the live data, you can scale in and scale out of your position, and there are real trading emotions involved because there's something at stake. You can lose your trading challenge, which is probably not pleasant, and you can, I guess, also be exposed to greed by making more money. So these are real money emotions which are important to master for any trader. And I think prop trading could, be a really nice middle ground for that.
Absolutely. Do you think that your community members, because obviously they are trading with prop capital as well, they're trading with the trading pit, but potentially also others, do you think they have learned something through prop trading when it comes to risk management, just looking for news events, understanding the whole picture of the market?
Yeah, absolutely, because you get very well-defined parameters with your challenge. The challenge would tell you, okay, for this challenge, you can only draw down this much money. All right, that's a very important performance metric to have, because how much may I draw down? Even if you trade a live money account, there should be a limit of how long you want to stay within a position. Your risk limit, basically. This is something that is intrinsic to every prop trading challenge. Also, where are some of the more volatile moments in the market, like news events, where I want to stay away, perhaps? Because as traders, we want to keep the market as predictable as possible. So trading news events is something which is quite erratic, which is not predictable for the most part. So you want to stay out of this. And these things you will learn through prop trading firsthand. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I usually set up my charts and which questions I ask to understand further what the current market story is in an attempt to understand and predict what the future may bring us in terms of price move. So this is how it works. How to predict the next chapter. In other words, where price will go next and in the future. Now, what is the story of the market? This is something that we always ask ourselves for every single instrument that I'm trying to trade. Is I'm trying to understand what's going on right now with this instrument. And, understanding what the current story of the market is can be quite personal. So everybody has a different trading personality, and the story of the market can be as complex or as simple as you like. This is up to you. Daniel, I like to keep it simple. This fits my trading personality. So what do I mean by this? I basically ask 3 simple questions to understand what's going on. Now, question number 1 is, what is the current trend? Where's price going right now? Is it going upwards, downwards, or perhaps sideways? And this is, I think, the most intuitive question to ask, because everybody, just by looking at the chart, has a generic understanding of what's going on, whether it's going up or down. You can see it quite easily here. But what matters is, hey, with every bigger trend, there are some variations in there. There are pullbacks and corrections. So for example, here you can see, overall prices going up. But within this uptrend, we had some, downwards periods, then it went up again. Then we have a bearish period again within this overall bullish trend. And understanding what these periods are, what we are in right now, is very important. And best of all, we have an indicator which will give you exactly this answer. This indicator is called MA Rush. You can see it here applied on the chart. It prints these bearish labels and these bullish labels directly on your price chart and helps you understand what's going on right now. And for this chart here, for example, you can see that price is currently in a bullish phase. You can see this bull label right here. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is, where are the key levels on the chart in terms of support and resistance? So this question is a bit harder to answer with the naked eye, but luckily we are also using an indicator for this. For example, here you can see this blue line here. This blue line is drawn by our Liquidity IQ indicator. It's a resistance line which was broken at this point here. And of course, once resistance becomes broken, it will change worlds and it will become support. You can see it here. Price initially went up, bounced back to this level, which is now acting as support, and goes up again. Then prices retrace all the way down again. And guess where it bounced off from? From exactly this level. And this shows you how powerful the knowledge of these levels can be and how it can influence your ability on how to predict what may happen next in the markets. And we have an indicator for this called Liquidity IQ. Now we have one more question that we ask. Where is the action? In other words, where is the most volume being traded? Now, when I talk about volume, I don't talk about volume over time, which is typically what you see when you look at the price chart. You see these volume bars just below the price chart here. This is not what I mean. I don't think there's much use in these volume bars. What I mean by where's the volume is volume by price. And this can be shown to you by a volume profile indicator. You can see it here on the right-hand side. You can see which areas of price are the most contested ones. In other words, which areas of price have the most trading volume, like this big or high volume node here, around this price level. And you can also see, okay, which areas of price have very little volume. And knowing where these high volume nodes are and where these low volume nodes are is very important, because in high volume nodes, price tends to slow down because it's a very contested area. Whereas in low volume nodes, price tends to speed up. You can see how fast price moved to this low volume node area, this region here. Now, in addition to this, it is also important to see where and which price levels there's more sell volume. You can see this reddish areas here, and where there's a bias towards buy volume. This really helps you understand of what's going on right now, where is the trading happening right now, and then in which direction it is happening. And once you answer all these three questions, and of course we also have an indicator for this, if you put this all together, you can form a full story of what's going on right now in the market. So let's do one example. Let's look at this chart here. What is the story of this particular chart telling us? Well, let's see. Let's do the analysis together. First off, where's the trend going to? Okay, let's look at our MA rush indicator. We can clearly see the last label on the chart is this one here. It says bearish. So the current trend is bearish. Things are going down. And this is important to know because typically in our trading, I like to trade with the trend and not against it. So basically, I'm looking for a potential bearish setup. All right, that's step number one. Step number two is, where are key levels? Okay, so by looking at this chart, we can see two key levels. We can see this support level down here. You see this reddish line, and we can see this little bluish line right here. This is a support level. This is a resistance level. We can see price came all the way down, bounced off support. It went up initially, bounced off resistance here, and now it's pulling back into a bearish phase again. Okay, that's answer number two. I know where my levels are. And now question number three is, where's the most volume traded? Well, that's quite easy to see by this volume profile here. You can see it here. We have this high volume node, which oftentimes, as I mentioned, slows down price action, and it can also act as a form of additional resistance. And that's exactly what's going on right now. We were and this bearish trend, bounced off support, went initially up, bounced off resistance again, and now we came to this high volume node. And if you look on the right hand side here, we can see also in this price area there are more sellers than buyers. You can see this this pink shaded area. It means there are more sellers than buyers. And if you're putting this all together, my prediction for this particular chart would be that price will continue to move further into the bearish direction. Where would I put my stop loss and my target? Or my stop loss would be right above this resistance level, because price, once it goes above resistance here, chances are it will go much higher. I want to get out of this trade if things go against me. And my target would be right above this support level down here. Why there? Because, price once again may bounce off support to the bullish side, and I don't want to give away my profits. And this is how I would set up this particular trade. And we actually executed this trade. You can see it here. We entered at this point, the indicators are not on this chart right now, and exited this trade as it approached the support level that I just mentioned. So this was a successful trade. And this is basically how we are looking at every single chart. Now, let me quickly show you what's going on right now in the markets with these indicators. So I'm going to switch over to TradingView. Okay, so what do we see? And this is actually how I look at the futures markets every single day. I like to do a scanning process first. What you see here are 4 index futures: the micro S&P futures, the macro Nasdaq, a micro Nasdaq here, micro S&P here, then micro Dow and micro Russell. And as you can see here, all three indicators, our volume profile indicator, our trend indicator, and our support and resistance indicator, they are applied to the chart. And tells me right away, okay, what's going on right now? Are we near a high volume node? Are we near support or resistance? What is my trend doing? So I do this for all the major futures markets. So these were the index futures. Then I have the same chart open here for my metals. I have gold here, micro silver, I have copper, and I have platinum. You can see it here very nicely. And then I'm going to move on to our commodities. We have crude oil here. You can see crude oil, for example, is now approaching a resistance level right here and just bounced off from it. We can see that micro natural gas just went bullish here. It's now just powered through this low volume area. You can see how fast price went through it. We can see here corn is quite all over the place. It's a bit messy, and this can also happen. Sometimes the market story is not as clear-cut as you want it to be. What do you do in that case? Well, you do not trade the symbol, because I would only trade the symbols which have the clearest market story, where my prediction for the futures gives me the biggest conviction. All right, so this were my commodities, and now let's look at my currency futures. Here we have micro euro, we have micro pound, we have micro Bitcoin, and here we have micro Ethereum. So let's see what's going on right here in the markets as soon as my charts are reloading. There we go. And we can see here, for example, it's a very interesting setup, is that Bitcoin, for example, just went bearish. You can see it was bearish before. We had a bit of a bullish trend here, and now it's bearish again. Let's zoom in on the setup a bit further. So for this, I'm going to go to this single chart view, which you can see, and I'm going to open up this Bitcoin symbol, MBT Micro Bitcoin Futures, onto my chart. And now the real analysis starts. So I did my scanning with all three indicators on it. I have a good feel of what's going on right now in the market. So let's zoom in a little bit on this Bitcoin trade right here. So this was a 5-minute chart originally, which I had open. So let's go back to my 5-minute chart and see what's going on. All right, so we see that Bitcoin came down this big move here all the way towards this support level. Then it went up again, and now it switched trends again, once again to a bearish momentum. We are also near this high volume node. And if you remember, what do these high volume nodes do to you? Well, or do to price? They will slow down price. And my anticipation would be the following right now. Price will come up to this high volume node. I'm pretty confident of this. And at this point, I believe this high volume node will act as resistance. It will definitely slow down price. And I believe it will act as resistance and drop price further down. And this goes hand in hand with also the bearish reading on my trend indicator. So the way I would set up this trade is I would enter by limit order a short trade here. It's going to be a quick scalp. And I anticipate that price at the minimum will drop from this level all the way to the support level down here. It's not the biggest trade because there's not that much room left, but this is how I would set up this particular trade. Why this trade and why this target right here? Well, because we have bearish momentum. We are right at the high volume node. I would enter by limit order, and I would get out of this trade as soon as we reach a level right above the support level. Because once again, support may let price bounce to the higher levels again, and I don't want to give away profit. Where would I put my stop? Also important. I would put my stop in this case just above the swing high here. Why there? Because this is where, in fact, I probably would put it around this area here, because here you can look at this one here. Here the buyers are stepping in again. So once we get to this level, I believe that price will go much higher. Again, I want to get out of this short trade if price goes to this level. So my stop loss probably around this level, just where these buyers here are stepping in. This is how I would set up my chart. Now, if you want to know more about how all this works, we do have a special offer for all viewers of this podcast. Let me just quickly go back to my slides here, because for all podcast attendees, we invite you to our next live trading session with the Trading Pit, where we will use these indicators, the indicators that you've seen right now, to live trade the futures market in an attempt to pass a prop trading challenge of the Trading Pit. And all you need to do is to go to this link down here, tradingindicators.com/TTP. And once you do, you will also be invited as a bonus to our next power scanning session. This is a session geared to stock and swing traders, where we scan on the weekend for the most interesting swing trading setups for the week ahead. And on top of all this, you will get our free ebook called The Power of Three, where we are detailing our most interesting setups, which have the best reward to risk ratio. So I hope you liked it, guys. I hope to see you all at our live trading session with the Trading Pit. Until then, trade safe. Bye-bye.
So, guys, you have seen it. Daniel was so nice, giving us insights into the indicators, into his dashboard to scan the stocks, all the instruments that are basically available out there. It's a huge database. Daniel, where can our traders find you?
Yes, we put together a special offer for all Trading Pit users and all attendees and viewers of this podcast to learn more about our indicators. If you see the link below on the screen, simply go there and register to sign up for our next live trading workshop with the Trading Pit, where we will put our money where our mouth is. We will try to, we will make trades in an attempt to pass a prop trading challenge with the Trading Pit using our indicators. And you are invited to follow along to learn how we set up our charts, how we customize our indicators, which indicators are we using in the first place, how we are setting up trades with TradingView, one of the platforms which is now supported by the Trading Pit, which is awesome. I'm very excited about this. Yeah, so you're invited to follow along for this exclusive live trading workshop. In addition, you will also get a free ebook, and you will be invited for our weekly stock scanning sessions, which take place every Saturday, where we will look for the next swing trading setups, which might be interest or which might be coming up for the week's ad.
That is awesome. Guys, you've heard it, especially now with our new stocks program, which came to the market recently. I think this is a very great opportunity to combine these two things. So, Daniel, thanks for coming to Cyprus. Thanks for taking your time here. And
Thanks, Jan. Thanks for having me.
See you soon on the live trading session.